On a quiet evening in the heart of Earth's capital, the world was at peace. The hum of everyday life continued as usual, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. People moved through the streets, working, shopping, living, all under the protective blanket of their peaceful existence. But that calm was shattered in an instant. A message from the stars, loud and clear, filled every communication device, from the latest smart watches to the oldest radios. It was a message from the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire had been a force of terror and control for centuries. Stretching across thousands of planets, it ruled through fear, suppression, and overwhelming military might. Entire civilizations had bent their knees before it, either conquered or absorbed into its vast, unfeeling web of power. Those who dared to resist had been crushed under the Empire's boot, and countless worlds had been enslaved or destroyed in the name of order. The message came in the form of an alien broadcast, smooth and polished, projected into every home and city square. Its voice, harsh yet regal, carried the authority of a power far beyond Earth's wildest imaginations. "I am Commander Vrixen, representative of the Galactic Empire. This broadcast is a simple announcement. Your world will be incorporated into the Empire. We shall pass through your solar system, and Earth will be part of the Empire's vast domain. You are welcome to join, or you will be removed. Resistance is futile." The tone was chilling. No emotion, no sympathy. It was an order, not a request. There was no room for negotiation. Earth was to be a mere stepping stone, a small, insignificant world in the eyes of the Galactic Empire. At first, there was disbelief. People sat in front of their screens, unable to process the magnitude of the words they had just heard. The idea of an empire that spanned the stars seemed impossible. Earth had long been isolated, never involved in interstellar affairs. It was a quiet planet, left alone to grow and evolve at its own pace, with no interest in the conflicts or power struggles beyond its atmosphere. But that disbelief quickly turned into confusion. Commander Vrixen continued speaking, her alien face cold and impassive. "You will comply with the Empire's demands," she said. "Should you refuse, we will send our fleet to remind you of your place in the galaxy. The decision is yours." There was a long pause. A sudden silence filled every room across the planet. The words echoed in the minds of those who had just heard them, like a dark cloud descending over their thoughts. The implications were staggering. The people of Earth had never known war on such a scale. They had never faced an enemy with such power, such reach. Could they really stand against the Galactic Empire? But then, something remarkable happened. Across every nation, a collective surge of defiance rippled through humanity. The United Earth Council, the governing body of Earth's United Front, quickly called an emergency session. The leaders, once divided by their own political interests, now stood together, united by the weight of the challenge that lay before them. After hours of deliberation, the Council released a response to the Galactic Empire. A single broadcast, simple and direct, was sent across the stars as Earth's leaders made their message clear. Earth forbids the Galactic Empire. No passage will be granted. The world watched in astonishment as this message was transmitted across every possible medium. There was no fear in the voice of the Council, no hesitation, only defiance. For the first time in history, Earth was making a stand, not just for its survival, but for its sovereignty. It wasn't just a response to the threat from the stars. It was a declaration of independence from anyone, anything, that sought to control them. Some saw it as foolishness. The Galactic Empire was a colossal, unstoppable force, and Earth had no weapons to match its might. But there was something about the message that resonated deeply within the hearts of Earth's people. It wasn't a message of fear or submission. It was a message of courage, of strength, and of a determination to protect the world they loved. In the days that followed, Earth's leaders went to work. Their scientists and engineers began collaborating in secret, developing technologies that had once only been imagined. Weaponry, energy shields, communication systems, anything that could give Earth a fighting chance. Humanity knew they were facing an overwhelming opponent, but they also knew that their strength lay in their unity, their resourcefulness, and their ability to adapt. As the Earth prepared for the unknown, Commander Vrixen's message had already been broadcast to the far reaches of space. The Galactic Empire's response was swift, but the galaxy had never seen anything quite like the force that was about to rise from Earth. The stage was set. Earth had spoken, and now the galaxy would listen. Would humanity's defiance be enough to hold back the might of the Galactic Empire, or would Earth's voice be silenced under the weight of interstellar power? The battle for Earth's future was just beginning. The Galactic Empire had been a force that controlled the stars for centuries. It spanned across vast distances, with planets and entire systems under its rule. From its throne, the Empire issued commands that were obeyed without question, enforced by an iron fist. Those who dared oppose it were wiped from existence, their worlds erased, their populations enslaved or obliterated. It was a system built on overwhelming strength, and for many, it seemed unbeatable. But Earth was different. When Commander Vrixen first broadcast her message, she had assumed that Earth would fall into line, just as countless other worlds had. The Empire's military might was vast, and no species in the galaxy had ever resisted its will for long. Earth, she thought, was no different. It was an isolated, primitive world, far behind in technology and unable to protect itself. The Empire's fleet was more than enough to crush any defense the planet could muster. It was only a matter of time before Earth bent to the Empire's will. But then came the unexpected. The United Earth Council's message was broadcast back to the stars, its words simple yet defiant. Earth forbids the Galactic Empire. No passage will be granted. The Empire's high command received the message with amusement at first. They laughed at the boldness of a world that had never faced true power. How could a species that had barely left its own solar system dare to challenge the might of the Galactic Empire? The Empire's forces were vast, and Earth had nothing to fight back with. It was a world of farmers, scientists, and workers. There were no weapons, no fleets, no armies. But what the Empire didn't understand was the spirit of humanity. As Commander Vrixen and her superiors laughed at Earth's defiance, a small group of Earth's brightest minds was already hard at work. The message had sparked something inside them, a fire that would not be extinguished. A team of scientists, engineers, and military strategists gathered in hidden laboratories and underground bunkers, preparing for a fight they knew would come. They didn't have the advanced technology of the Empire, but they had something far more valuable: creativity, determination, and the will to survive. The idea of defeat never entered their minds. They were not going to bow to an alien empire. Earth would stand on its own. They would protect their home. They would show the galaxy what humanity was capable of. It all began with Earth's most prized resources: knowledge and ingenuity. Over the years, scientists had collected pieces of alien technology from long-forgotten wreckages and artifacts that had drifted into the solar system. These remnants of past alien encounters were viewed as curiosities, small fragments of advanced technology that didn't seem to have much use at first glance. But now, Earth's brightest minds took those pieces and began to reverse engineer them. It wasn't easy. The technology was complex, often foreign in its design. But Earth's engineers were quick learners. Using every scrap of alien tech, they began to build weapons, defensive shields, and devices that could disrupt the Empire's technology. Earth's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, to take something unknown, and make it their own. By the time the Empire's fleet began its journey towards Earth, humanity had already made significant progress. They had developed energy shields capable of withstanding blasts from advanced alien weaponry. Their weapons, while not as powerful as those of the Empire, were surprisingly effective against their fleet's advanced technology. Earth had built a defense grid that was ready to take on the invaders, with hidden weapon systems placed throughout the solar system, camouflaged on asteroids, in the moon's craters, and even on Earth itself. But despite this, the Empire still believed it would be an easy victory. Commander Vrixen's fleet was preparing to launch a show of force, a simple display of power to break humanity's will. The Empire's warships were enormous, their weapons capable of destroying entire cities with a single shot. They thought they would land, intimidate Earth, and end this defiance quickly. What they didn't realize was that humanity was already thinking 5 steps ahead. As the Empire's fleet approached the solar system, the people of Earth were not shaking in fear. They were ready. They knew the enemy's strength, but they also knew the solar system better than anyone. Every moon, every asteroid, every inch of space within their reach had been turned into a weapon. Earth had studied the Empire's tactics and found its weaknesses. The first encounter happened without warning. The Empire's fleet entered the solar system with arrogance, expecting no resistance. But as they neared Earth's orbit, they were met with a surprise. A barrage of energy blasts erupted from the shadows of asteroids, striking the lead ships of the fleet. The Empire's commanders were caught off guard, unable to react quickly enough to the sudden onslaught. Commander Vrixen's flagship, a massive ship with the power to destroy entire planets, was hit with a devastating blow. It didn't destroy the ship, but it crippled its engines and knocked out its weapon systems. The fleet, thrown into disarray, was forced to retreat to regroup, their confidence shattered. This was no fluke. Earth had shown them something they had never seen before. Humanity's resourcefulness had turned the tables. What the Empire had seen as a primitive world was now a formidable foe. Earth wasn't just defending its home. It was sending a message to the stars. Humanity would not be conquered. The Empire's leaders, however, remained confident that it was only a temporary setback. They still underestimated humanity's resolve. The true test of strength was yet to come, but Commander Vrixen and her superiors were beginning to understand something they had never considered before. Humanity was not to be taken lightly. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now they were learning the hard way. The initial strike against their fleet had caught them off guard, but it was only a small taste of what Earth had prepared. Commander Vrixen, along with her superiors, was furious. Their once pristine reputation was beginning to crack. Earth, a planet they had assumed to be insignificant, was proving to be far more capable than expected. Still, the Empire had the numbers. Their ships were massive, built to withstand anything the galaxy could throw at them. They had weapons capable of wiping entire cities off the map with a single blast. If they couldn't crush Earth with a single show of force, they would have to take a different approach. Commander Vrixen made a decision. This time, they would launch a full-scale assault. As the Empire's fleet regrouped, they began to make their way toward Earth's orbit once again. This time, there would be no mercy. Earth's defense systems, which had caught them off guard before, would now be tested to their limits. The Empire's commanders were certain that this time, nothing could stop them. But on Earth, there was no fear. There was only preparation. In the months since the first attack, humanity had been working tirelessly to refine their defenses. Their scientists had made incredible progress. What had started as simple repurposed alien technology had grown into a sophisticated defense grid capable of withstanding even the Empire's most powerful attacks. New energy shields were installed around Earth's atmosphere, and powerful laser cannons were mounted on orbiting satellites. Even the Moon, Earth's closest neighbor, had been transformed into a strategic base of operations. In secret, a network of human soldiers had been trained. They were not the traditional military forces of the past, but a new kind of warrior, a force built on unity, strategy, and innovation. They would fight not with sheer numbers, but with ingenuity. And they would use the very ground beneath their feet, the planets and moons of their solar system, as weapons against the Empire. When the Empire's fleet entered the solar system once more, they were met with silence. Earth's defense systems remained hidden, and the planet seemed still. The Empire's ships advanced toward Earth, their sensors scanning the surrounding area for any signs of resistance. But what they didn't realize was that the moment they entered range, they had already stepped into a trap. Without warning, Earth's satellite defense network activated. Thousands of powerful beams shot out from the hidden orbital cannons, striking the first wave of the Empire's ships. The Empire's commanders scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Their shields were no match for the concentrated firepower of Earth's hidden weapons. Several of the smaller ships were disabled in moments, their engines and weapon systems fried by the intense energy beams. Commander Vrixen's flagship, the Ravager, the pride of the fleet, was caught in the crossfire. Despite its size and strength, it was not immune to Earth's new weapons. Powerful energy blasts struck the ship's outer hull, sending shockwaves through the massive vessel. The ship shuddered, and alarms blared as the crew rushed to assess the damage. The Ravager was not destroyed, but its shields were severely weakened, and several key systems were now offline. The Empire's fleet was in disarray. The unexpected attack had crippled their advance, leaving them vulnerable. But the Empire was not one to retreat easily. They had the advantage in numbers, and they knew it. Commander Vrixen issued orders for the fleet to regroup, preparing to strike back with full force. However, Earth's forces were not backing down. While the Empire struggled to maintain control, human forces were already on the move. A series of strategically placed ships, created using stolen and repurposed alien technology, launched from Earth's surface. These ships were smaller than the Empire's warships, but they were faster and more maneuverable. They had been designed specifically to exploit the weaknesses in the Empire's fleet. As the Empire regrouped, the smaller human ships began to attack in waves. Their tactics were unorthodox. They didn't engage in direct confrontations with the Empire's heavy warships. Instead, they harassed the fleet, striking from unexpected angles and retreating before the Empire could retaliate. The Empire's commanders were furious. They had never faced an enemy that fought so differently, so unpredictably. The humans were using the solar system's unique environment to their advantage. They hid in the shadow of asteroids, using the dense fields to mask their movements. They attacked from behind moons, using the natural landscape as cover before striking with surgical precision. The Empire's massive warships were simply too slow to catch them. It wasn't long before the Empire's once confident fleet began to show signs of distress. Their ships were slowly being chipped away at by Earth's relentless, guerrilla-style attacks. The Empire's leadership began to question their assumptions. How had Earth, a world they considered beneath them, become such a formidable enemy? What was it about humanity that made them fight so fiercely, even against impossible odds? As the battle raged on, Earth's forces struck another devastating blow. They had perfected a new weapon, an energy disruptor capable of disabling the Empire's advanced technology. With this weapon, Earth's forces launched a final attack on the Ravager, hitting it with a concentrated blast that knocked out the ship's central power core. The massive ship, once a symbol of the Empire's dominance, was now crippled, its crew scrambling to restore power as its systems flickered out of control. The Empire's fleet, now heavily damaged and demoralized, was forced to retreat once again. The battle had been far from over, but Earth had shown the Empire something it would never forget. Humanity would not be easily defeated. The stars were not theirs to control. Commander Vrixen's pride was shattered. Earth had won the first round, and the galaxy would remember it. But the Empire would not stop. It had made a grave miscalculation, and now it would be forced to rethink its approach to this tiny yet tenacious world. Commander Vrixen stood on the bridge of the Ravager, staring out into the void of space. The vastness of the galaxy stretched before her, but her thoughts were focused on Earth. The tiny planet, so far beneath the Empire's reach, had delivered yet another crushing blow to the mighty fleet. How had this happened? How had a primitive, unimportant world fought back so fiercely? The damage was severe. Her flagship, once the symbol of the Empire's power, was crippled. The fleet had suffered heavy losses, and its morale was shattered. The Empire's once unshakable confidence in its strength had faltered. Vrixen's superiors were furious, and whispers of failure began to spread through the ranks. Back on Earth, however, the mood was entirely different. Humanity's leaders were not celebrating their victory, nor were they overconfident. Instead, there was a quiet determination that echoed across every corner of the planet. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Earth had shown that it could stand against the Galactic Empire, but they knew that the Empire would not simply retreat. They would come back stronger, more prepared. And this time, Earth needed to be ready. The people of Earth understood that the Empire was a massive, well-organized machine, driven by an unrelenting need for control and expansion. To them, Earth was simply an obstacle to be removed, a tiny blip in their grand plans. They had underestimated humanity's resolve once, but they would not make the same mistake again. Earth's leaders knew they had to act quickly and decisively. The United Earth Council met in emergency sessions, discussing their next steps. Their initial success had been a result of surprise. Advanced weapons, cunning tactics, and the element of unfamiliarity had all played their parts. But Earth could not rely on that again. The Empire was not one to be caught off guard twice. Earth's scientists and engineers worked around the clock. They had access to the alien technology that had been scavenged over the years. But now it was more than just a matter of defense. Earth needed to turn the tide of this war. They had to find a way to disrupt the Empire's vast network, a way to strike at the heart of the Empire's power. Humanity's mindset had always been different from the Empire's. The Empire ruled through fear, strength, and subjugation. They believed in dominating others, bending them to their will. But humans didn't think that way. Earth had no desire to conquer or enslave anyone. It had no grand ambitions for power. It simply wanted to survive, to protect its home and its people. And therein lay humanity's greatest strength. The Empire had fought countless wars across the stars, crushing civilizations that had resisted them. But Earth was different. Earth's people did not fight for glory or control. They fought because they had something to protect. They fought for their homes, their families, their future. They fought because they refused to be bullied or enslaved. This mindset fueled the human resistance. They were united by a common cause, not by a desire for conquest, but by a refusal to submit. Earth's soldiers were not professional warriors, but they were quick learners. They understood the stakes, and they had the willpower to overcome any challenge. Every victory, every small success, built their confidence and determination. They were not just fighting to defend their planet. They were fighting to send a message to the galaxy. Humanity will not be crushed. In the days following their victory, a new kind of unity began to take root. Earth's people set aside their differences, their political divisions, their national borders. They were all citizens of Earth now, working together to defend their world. Scientists worked alongside military commanders. Engineers collaborated with civilians. Every human on Earth knew that they had a role to play in the coming struggle. Earth's leaders knew they had to act quickly. The Empire's fleet had retreated, but it would return soon, stronger and more determined. Earth had to make use of the time they had left. They focused on building more advanced weapons, fortifying their defenses, and gathering information. They also began training more soldiers, not just on Earth, but on the Moon and in the space stations that orbited their world. Earth was becoming a fortress. At the same time, Earth's scientists began experimenting with a new weapon, something that could turn the tide of the war. They had discovered that certain elements of the Empire's technology had vulnerabilities, weak points that could be exploited. One such weakness was their reliance on a vast network of communications and control systems that connected their fleets across the galaxy. If Earth could find a way to disrupt that network, they could cripple the Empire's ability to coordinate and respond. The people of Earth knew that this was their best chance. If they could take down the Empire's communication systems, it would level the playing field. The Empire would no longer be able to call on reinforcements or issue commands across the galaxy. It would be a blow to their morale, and it could force them to reconsider their approach to Earth. As the weeks passed, Earth's forces continued to grow stronger. The fight was not just about military might. It was about strategy, unity, and a deep, unwavering belief in their right to remain free. Every day, humanity's resolve grew stronger. They had already shown the Empire that they were not to be underestimated, but now they had to prove that their victory was no fluke. Humanity had made a powerful statement. They had shown the galaxy that they would not bow to tyranny, and they were prepared to defend their home no matter the cost. The battle was far from over, but humanity was ready for whatever came next. They had faced an overwhelming foe and had stood their ground. And now, they were preparing for the next stage of the war, a war that they were determined to win. The galaxy was a quiet place, but not for long. The Empire's fleet had been beaten back, but their resolve was far from broken. Across the stars, in countless war rooms and command centers, Empire leaders were working tirelessly to find a way to crush Earth's defiance. They could not afford another humiliation. Earth had shown them that their power was not absolute, and that could not stand. Commander Vrixen, though shaken by the loss, remained steadfast. The Ravager had been badly damaged in the first battle, but repairs were underway. The Empire's resources were vast, and they had begun to shift their focus toward Earth. They would not make the same mistake again. Vrixen's orders were clear: prepare for a final assault. But back on Earth, the mood was different. The people of Earth had fought, and they had won, but they knew that a much greater challenge lay ahead. The Empire was not going to give up easily. The war was far from over, and this time, the Empire would be ready. For the first time since the attack, there was a sense of unease on Earth. People were waiting, preparing, but there was no sense of false confidence. Earth had made a statement, but now they had to live up to it. In the months that followed, Earth's defense systems were strengthened. The scientists, engineers, and military leaders who had been working tirelessly to protect their home now focused on improving their technology. They could not afford to be caught off guard again. There were no more surprises left to give. They had to find a way to beat the Empire at its own game. The most pressing task was to create a weapon that could take down the Empire's massive ships, something powerful enough to breach their formidable defenses. The problem, however, was that Earth's technology was still nowhere near as advanced as the Empire's. They had been able to surprise the Empire once, but there was no guarantee that their primitive weapons could hold up in another battle. But humanity was resilient, and innovation was their greatest strength. They began experimenting with new tactics and technology. Instead of relying solely on brute force, they focused on speed, precision, and stealth. Earth's scientists had discovered a new form of energy, a kind of antimatter that, when contained properly, could unleash incredible power. The question was, could they harness it before the Empire returned? Meanwhile, Earth's leaders knew they had to act quickly. The Empire would soon be regrouping, and they could not afford to wait. They began working with their allies from other systems that had resisted the Empire. These alliances were fragile, but they were necessary. They knew that to defeat the Empire, they would need to unite the galaxy's resistance, no matter the cost. The time for hiding was over. The people of Earth had shown their strength, and now they had to show their will. They could not allow the Empire to recover and return for another attack. They needed to strike first, before the Empire had a chance to rebuild its strength. As Earth's forces prepared for what would be their greatest challenge yet, Commander Vrixen's fleet finally repaired and reorganized. The Ravager was fully operational again, and the other ships of the fleet had been upgraded with new weapons and enhanced shields. The Empire's commanders were not underestimating humanity this time. They had learned their lesson. The two sides, though worlds apart, were now bound for a final confrontation. The months that had passed since the first battle had given both sides time to prepare, but it had also given them time to learn. The Empire now understood that Earth was not an easy target, but they had the numbers, the power, and the experience. Humanity, on the other hand, had no choice but to rely on their ingenuity. They would need every advantage, every ounce of strategy, to survive the coming storm. As Earth's forces began to mobilize, every man, woman, and child understood what was at stake. This was not just a war for survival. It was a war for the future of the human race. The leaders of Earth knew they had to protect their way of life, their planet, their families. There could be no retreat, no surrender. This was their moment. Earth's allies began to assemble. Smaller, resistance movements from distant worlds that had also felt the Empire's cruelty began to lend their support. Ships, resources, and technology began to arrive in the solar system, adding to Earth's growing strength. Though the alliance was fragile, it was enough. The Empire's advance had been halted, and now it was time for Earth and its allies to push back. The tension in the air was palpable. Earth's military forces gathered on the moon, on space stations, and in bunkers beneath the surface of their planet. Their ships, though smaller than the Empire's, were now more numerous. They had created a fleet built not on brute strength, but on speed, surprise, and adaptability. Humanity's best minds had worked together to create a force that could strike fast and disappear before the Empire could retaliate. As the Empire's fleet approached Earth once more, the planet's defenses were ready. But this time, it wasn't just Earth alone. This time, the galaxy's resistance was ready to strike as one. The quiet before the storm had passed. The final battle was approaching. The Empire's fleet moved into position, surrounding Earth's solar system with terrifying precision. Their ships loomed large in the cold, dark expanse of space, their massive forms a reminder of the strength they wielded. Commander Verkson stood on the bridge of the Ravager, watching the fleet prepare for what they knew would be a decisive strike. This time, there would be no underestimating the humans. The Empire had learned from its previous failures, and they would not leave Earth until it was crushed. The final battle was approaching, and the people of Earth were ready. The United Earth Council had united all of humanity's resources, focusing their efforts on one goal: victory. With the support of their allies from distant worlds, they had built a formidable defense, and now it was time to use it. The stakes had never been higher. Earth's forces, though smaller, were swift and agile, equipped with advanced technology and battle strategies developed in the months since the first battle. They had no intention of allowing the Empire to take their planet. Earth's defenses had been strategically placed. The planet was surrounded by a network of energy shields and high-powered laser cannons mounted on the moon, space stations, and satellites. The entire solar system had become a fortress. The Empire's vast fleet, though powerful, would find it difficult to navigate through the intricate web of Earth's defenses. On the surface of Earth, the air was thick with anticipation. Cities had been evacuated, and civilians were being taken to underground shelters for protection. The world's military forces, along with the volunteer armies of Earth's allies, stood ready. Every available soldier, engineer, and scientist had been mobilized. Humanity's best minds had come together, preparing for a battle unlike any they had ever fought before. The quiet tension that had filled the air for months had finally reached its peak. The people of Earth knew that this battle would determine their future. It was not just a fight for survival. It was a fight for freedom. The Empire had no interest in peaceful coexistence. They sought only control, and Earth would not bow to their demands. As the first waves of the Empire's ships crossed the threshold of Earth's outer defenses, the battle began. The Empire unleashed a barrage of firepower, attempting to break through the energy shields that surrounded Earth. Powerful blasts shook the solar system, the shockwaves rippling through space. The Empire's weapons were powerful, but Earth's shields held strong, absorbing the blasts without faltering. The human forces, using their superior knowledge of the terrain and their nimble ships, quickly engaged the Empire's fleet. Earth's ships, though smaller than their Empire counterparts, were fast and maneuverable. They darted in and out of the Empire's massive warships, striking from unexpected angles. The Empire's fleet, still reliant on brute force, struggled to keep up with the unpredictable tactics of Earth's forces. In the midst of the chaos, The Ravager fired its main cannon, a powerful energy beam that could decimate an entire city. It struck one of Earth's defense stations, causing a massive explosion. But Earth's engineers had anticipated such an attack. They had built multiple layers of defense, and the blast was contained. The destruction was minimal, and the station quickly came back online, ready to continue the fight. Commander Vrixen was growing frustrated. Despite the Empire's overwhelming firepower, the humans were proving to be a more difficult enemy than she had anticipated. They were unpredictable, constantly shifting tactics, and using every resource at their disposal to stay one step ahead. But she would not give up. The Empire's vast resources could not be defeated by such primitive means. She had one final weapon at her disposal, a weapon so powerful that it could wipe out Earth's defenses in one blow. Vrixen issued the order, and the Empire's fleet began to fall back, giving her flagship room to deploy the weapon. A massive energy cannon, capable of wiping out entire cities, was primed and ready. Earth's defenses had held up so far, but this weapon was different. It would pierce through the shields and destroy everything in its path. It was their final push to take control of Earth. As the Ravager powered up its weapon, Earth's forces scrambled to mount a defense. The laser cannons mounted on Earth's space stations locked onto the approaching flagship, targeting its weak points. In the chaos of the battle, the Empire's final weapon was almost ready to fire. But humanity had a plan. With the help of their allies, they had developed a countermeasure that could neutralize the Empire's energy cannon. A small, fast-moving strike force of human ships, equipped with newly developed technology, broke away from the main battle and headed toward the Ravager. Their mission was clear: disable the weapon before it could fire. The strike force approached the Ravager, darting through the battlefield and using the cover of asteroid fields to avoid detection. With precision and speed, they struck at the flagship's power core, planting explosives at key points on the ship. The explosion sent shockwaves through the Ravager, knocking out its weapon systems. The massive energy cannon, just moments away from firing, was disabled. Commander Vrixen's voice trembled with anger as she ordered the fleet to fall back. The final weapon had been neutralized, and the battle was slipping out of her control. Earth's forces, emboldened by the failure of the Empire's last-ditch effort, pressed forward with renewed vigor. Their counterattack was swift and decisive. In the end, the Empire's fleet, battered and broken, retreated from Earth's solar system. The battle was over, and humanity had won once again. The price of victory had been high, but Earth had proven something that day. It was no longer a planet to be overlooked or underestimated. The Empire had learned that the hard way. As the dust settled, Earth's people stood tall. They had faced the might of the Galactic Empire and had emerged victorious. It was a hard-won victory, but it was theirs. The stars above were silent, but the message was clear. Earth would not be conquered. The victory was hard-earned, but Earth had prevailed. The shattered remnants of the Empire's fleet were drifting away from the solar system, their once mighty warships now defeated and retreating. The battle had been fierce, but humanity's determination had carried them through. The price had been high, but the future of Earth was secure. For now. Across the planet, celebrations erupted. The streets were filled with cheering people, waving flags and shouting in joy. They had done it. They had stood against the might of the Galactic Empire and emerged victorious. It was a moment that would be remembered for generations. The world had united in the face of a common enemy, and now they could finally take a breath and enjoy their hard-won peace. But as the celebrations continued, the leaders of Earth knew that this victory was only a temporary reprieve. The Empire would not forget the humiliation they had suffered, and they would not simply walk away. Earth's survival had been hard-earned, but it would not be enough to guarantee lasting peace. The war was not truly over, it had only just begun. The United Earth Council, which had been formed in the wake of the invasion, called an emergency meeting. The victory had given humanity a much-needed boost, But it was clear that Earth could not afford to rest. The Empire would return, stronger and more prepared. Earth's defenses had held, but the next battle would be even more challenging. The Council leaders discussed their next steps, aware that their ability to act swiftly and decisively could make the difference between survival and destruction. "We've won today, but we must prepare for the future," said President Riley, standing at the head of the Council table. "The Empire will rebuild. We can't let our guard down. We must strengthen our defenses, improve our weapons, and prepare for whatever comes next." The Council agreed. They had learned from their past mistakes, and now they would be ready. The technology they had developed during the war had given them an edge, but they knew that they had to keep advancing. Earth's scientists and engineers were already hard at work, developing new weapons and systems to counter the Empire's formidable power. But Earth's leaders understood that strength alone would not win the war. Unity would. The galaxy was a vast and complex place, filled with species that had long suffered under the Empire's rule. Earth could not fight this battle alone. They needed allies, and they would have to forge new relationships with those who had fought against the Empire. Humanity's message had spread across the stars. Earth was no longer a passive planet. Earth was now a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, Commander Vrixen stood on the bridge of what remained of the Ravager, staring at the retreating Earth. The defeat was a bitter pill to swallow. The Empire's humiliation was not something easily forgotten. But she was a soldier, and soldiers never gave up. She knew that the Empire would rebuild, and when they did, they would return. The fight was far from over. "We will return," Vrixen muttered to herself, "and when we do, Earth will fall." But even as she spoke, she knew that the coming battle would be different. Earth had proven its resilience. They had fought back when they had no right to. They had defied the Empire, and they had won. The humans were no longer the weak, insignificant species that the Empire had once considered them to be. They had become a real threat, and the Empire would have to reckon with that. Back on Earth, the people were not resting on their laurels. While the celebrations continued, the United Earth Council quietly began preparing for the future. New alliances were forged with resistance movements from other star systems. Earth was no longer isolated. It was part of a growing network of forces that would stand against the Empire. Together, they would build a coalition strong enough to push back against the Empire's dominance. Humanity's victory had sent a message across the galaxy. Earth would not be subjugated. It had stood up to the most powerful force in the galaxy and had won. And now, Earth would stand as a symbol of hope for all those who dreamed of freedom. The galaxy had seen that one planet, no matter how small or insignificant it seemed, could change the course of history. The war was far from over. The Empire would return, but Earth was ready. The people of Earth had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had the will to fight, the courage to stand up to tyranny, and the unity to protect their home. This was just the beginning. As Earth's leaders looked toward the future, they knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had shown that they could defy the odds, and they had earned their place among the stars. The struggle for freedom had only just begun, but Earth's victory was a beacon of hope for all who longed for peace, justice, and liberty. The sun rose over Earth, casting its warm light over a planet that had proven it would not go down without a fight. A new dawn had come, and humanity was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.